Hi, you're watching Take Control, a feature where myself and others will appear at specific times to offer insight and details about the making of the film. So strap yourself in and enjoy.
We wanted to start more or less where we left off. You know, seeing Brian and Dom the way that we know them, and that is they're car guys. They just love to race. And it's a bit of a setup, and then you realize what's really going on. This isn't just a mindless race. But Dom has always represented Mopar. He's always been domestic. Brian's always been more of the import guy, specifically the Skyline. We featured the 34 in Fast 2, and in Fast 5, we saw Brian in the R35, and it just wouldn't have been right to not bring this car to the movie once again. This is the first Skyline that's actually been available here in North America. The Skyline's been an iconic car. I know the fans have always been really excited about it, to bring it back again, going neck and neck with the Challenger, which is just so representative of Dom with the Flex and the muscle car. We just had to do it.
Señor O'Connor, por aquí rápido.
It's okay, you're just in time.
Fast and Furious 6 is, in essence, the last film in the second trilogy that started with Fast and Furious, not to be confused with The Fast and the Furious. Fast and Furious was released in 2009, and that was the first film that partnered myself and Justin and regrouped and reamassed the whole cast.
When you watch the film, you'll notice that the title says Furious 6 and not Fast and Furious 6, and that was by design from the very beginning. This chapter of the Fast franchise was always supposed to end with Fast 5 and Furious 6. And when you see the tagline on the posters and the DVD covers saying all roads lead to this, that's truly why Fast and Furious 6 exists. It's supposed to wrap the mythology and just kind of end this chapter and at the same time launch the franchise into a whole new direction.
Special Agent Hobbs.
Riley Hicks. This is what 100 million buys? It wasn't that hard to find you, Toretto.
I think anytime you have a scene with both Vin and Dwayne, you know it's something that is going to be memorable. Because I think with them, they both come with very iconic values. And it was important, I think, to set this film up where it's actually Hobbs that comes in to basically recruit Dom and his family. Essentially, Furious 6 is evolving not only the characters, but it's also taking this franchise into a new genre. And Hobbs is integral in coming in and bringing these characters and taking them to a new world.
You see, he's gonna come voluntarily. As a matter of fact, he's gonna beg me.
I very much like working with Dwayne Johnson. He plays Hobbs better than anyone could play Hobbs, and I think his Hobbs character is a real asset to the overall saga. A little anecdote, when Fast and Furious released in 2009 and broke records, the only person that called me from Hollywood was Dwayne Johnson to congratulate us on our success. Soon after that, someone on a social media site said to me that they would love to see Dwayne and I in a movie together. Initially, the role for Hobbs was envisioned for a Tommy Lee Jones type. And when Dwayne Johnson took control of that role, he made it his own and brought something unmistakably powerful that we've been able to explore as the films progress.
I need your help, Dom. I need your team.
Nice.
Fast and Furious, Fast 5, and Furious 6 exist in between Too Fast, Too Furious, and Tokyo Drift. When I talked to Vin, all the way back when I was making Tokyo Drift, it was about creating this mythology, his relationship with Han, and this theme of family and all the connections. That was to basically, we were going to explore that in 4, 5, and 6. And it was all going to lead and tie up to, you know, the first 3 films of the series.
Dom? Thank God.
The first time the team is brought together in Fast and Furious 6 is at a headquarters that has been provided by Hobbs. Our characters are expecting to receive money and payment for the job that they're being presented with. We quickly find out in the scene that this is about something much more deep and significant than just money.
Get us to Letty, we'll get you Shaw, full pardons all the way around.
These scenes with the whole cast are the most chaotic and probably the most stressful in the best of ways and the worst of ways. Because ultimately, you know, all these characters are such a big part of the franchise. They come with a lot of history and legacy that they, you know, the actors care about very much. And I want to respect every character, regardless if it's number 1 on the call sheet to number 30. That's something I take a lot of joy in doing. But at the same time, it's exhausting, not only in making sure that everybody's ramped up creatively to the right place, because in this cast, you know, you have Vin, who's, you know, New York trained actor, to, you know, Paul, who his process is very much more instinctual, to Tyrese, who has more of a music background. So I have to make sure that I take care of everybody and I can showcase them, because they're there the whole day. You know, when you see a scene like this, it might be 2 minutes, but it takes forever to shoot because of all the different eye lines and coverage, and they have to do it basically 100 times.
That's the deal. Take it or leave it.
Guys, I got the Rover. Okay, well, I got whatever the hell that thing is.
The flip car is fantasy fulfillment. The flip car is an opportunity for us to push the realm of car racing or car action sequences to the next level. And we were very excited about introducing an original element in Fast and Furious 6 that you've never seen in any of the other Fast and Furious movies.
When I was kind of developing the character of Shaw, I felt like this is a guy that's not going to be driving normal cars. He's actually going to be designing cars that is going to be for very specific purposes. And I like the idea of a car flipping another car. And I remember Dennis coming to me, and he had, I think, like a Mercedes SUV with a ramp that was on the roof that would come down. And I told him I liked the idea because it fits Shaw's character so well, but aesthetically it wasn't right. And I felt like when we were going to go to Europe, it had to be much more efficient. And I said, let's try to maybe use the F1 as inspiration. And he got it right away. Within 3 hours, he faxed me the new design. And that's basically what you see now in the movie.
The thing I like about Dennis is he is the big cheese when it comes to all the cars that we bring into the movies. But he's also very hands-on because he's a fabricator. His background is off-road racing. So when I knew that Dennis was still on the job, I was like, all right, it's probably gonna be pretty cool. And obviously showing up, being that I'm such a car guy, I really want to understand and see what was going on, the R&D and everything that went into this thing. So when you wanted to steer front steering input in, like you would with a normal car, you just turn the steering wheel. But when you wanted to activate the rear wheels to initiate the real radical maneuvers that this car did, because I mean, it literally just can go from side to side from the four-wheel steering. It's actually a separate toggle. I mean, you're always at your best as a driver if you got two hands on the steering wheel. So now imagine initiating a drift and then with your second hand, literally trying to steer the rear wheels to direct the car at a more exacting angle. Quite frankly, I think it kicks ass.
The preparation for this Fast and Furious film is different than anything I've ever really tagged before. And I thought it was going to be cars, but instead, the training that I'm getting is for a massive fight sequence between Gina Carano, who's freaking amazing, by the way. She's so cool. She's a professional MMA fighter, for those who don't know. It was about a month and a half of strenuous workout sessions.
I feel like both Michelle and Gina knew the importance of this, and the challenge I posed to them and also the crew is that let's not just make this a good fight. Let's make this the the best fight in cinema history. Why not? You know, like, we have the opportunity. And so everyone took that to heart. So on the day when we were on location, which happens to be basically 5 floors below the ground, and there was no elevator, the crew had to carry everything down. It wasn't a sound stage. I wanted it to be authentic. I wanted the actors to feel the location. And so once they got there, they were so pumped up. You know, I remember we would start rolling around 7 a.m. and around 10 a.m. I had to pull the actors back and say, you gotta just pace yourself a little bit because we still have a full day of work.
And I actually had to convince Gina Carano to try to be a little tougher on me because, you know, I think, you know, with all of her training, she was fearful that she might snap a bone by mistake or something. And the stunt doubles did, you know, amazing tumbles for the sequence. They took some hard hits. And me and Gina took some hard hits, just getting it done and trying to make the best show for you. So I hope you guys enjoy.
The idea of the Dom Letty race, it was to put Letty in a situation where she feels something familiar, but yet she can't remember anything. And at the same time, for Dom, it's about this dance that he does that ultimately proves enough for Letty to let her open herself up and to be able to let him in a little bit. It's such an important sequence. I'm proud because we were able to shoot all that in 2 days.
Just like old times.
It's gotten to the point now where, what haven't we done? But Justin thought, hey, you know, let's really up it. And then going international, we opened the doors to the big boys. Well, the big boys come with bigger and badder toys than we've ever played with before. And so Justin thought, let's bring a damn tank. They were nice enough there in Tenerife in the Canary Islands to let us use a stretch of highway that it was a brand new highway. It hadn't been opened yet. They probably shouldn't have let us use it.
Ideally, I wanted the tank to basically be going down the street of London. And I had a whole sequence design where it came out of Piccadilly Circus and, you know, Dom and the crew was actually trying to take down the tank in the middle of London. Of course, we couldn't shoot it for real in Piccadilly. We were actually going to build Piccadilly very much like building Shibuya for Tokyo Drift. But ultimately, I decided to go with the highway because we have full control and everything was going to be practical. And more of the money could be on screen rather than using the money to build the sets.
So the 78 Mark I Ford Escort, I remember day one when we walked in, I was with Tyrese and Luda and everybody, and they laughed at the car that I was given. And Chris said, oh man, they did you wrong. And I could see why you would say that. I mean, it doesn't maybe necessarily have the pop that the other cars have, but overseas, this car is really iconic. This car, it just crushed, it dominated the rally circuit for a long time. This is the late 60s, early 70s. And considering what we were doing action-wise in the movie, I felt that it was actually the most suited car. Now, it's a 4-cylinder, it's carbureted, it doesn't have a ton of power, but it's so light, it doesn't need the power that the heavy domestic cars do. So, especially when it comes to jumping and pulling off all the heavy maneuvers, the car actually suited me just fine, and I love driving on the right-hand side. I love it.
Now we got a big-ass plane to deal with. That ain't a plane, that's a planet.
I always love doing everything practically because there's something that is magical, you know, and visceral. And to have a real Antonov is basically impossible. So I felt like it was important to basically build parts of the plane. And it's funny because at the end of the day, if you really look at everything that we built the wheels, the base of Antonov, we had a fuselage set, we had a pilot set, we actually had wing sets. If you put it all together, we basically built an Antonov.
And everyone's fight sequences came together pretty tight. And the reason is fight coordinator. He didn't come in posturing like a lot of fight guys do. And then every guy in his team was the same guy. I mean, they're just super mellow, came in, they were all about being professional. And it wasn't about their fight in the movie. It was about how they can make the movie better with their fight scene. And a lot of what we got that actually ended up working really, really well was actually a mistake. But the mistakes worked so well because we knew the dance, just inside and out. We all got hit, we all got banged up, and nobody lost their shit, which I've seen happen a bunch in the past, so it was a really good experience. We building the car?
First car better be a Charger, Jack.
Now, you're looking at a situation where these guys who were running on the wrong side of the tracks are all of a sudden given pardons. And they're allowed to come back home to the United States and live as law-abiding citizens of the United States of America. And when thinking about that and the responsibility that that holds, and then thinking about the lifestyle, something doesn't match. So I would find it really interesting to see, where this goes. Would a Letty character want to stick around if she's not living the fast life? Would any of the characters want to stick around if they're not living the fast life? And I think that that's an interesting question.
Thank you.
Good luck.
The first Fast and Furious was released in 2001. That was a film we shot in 1999, the last year of the last millennium. And there was a very important scene there where my character tells another character to pray. Scenes like that set us apart from what people's expectations were about an action movie. Our movie was backed with real heart. To be able to return to that set, that exact location that I was filming in 1999 and 2012 was surreal. Bless our table. You'll see at the end of the movie how much of an homage we paid to the first film when we end the movie on a prayer.
For all the choices we've made, because that's what makes us who we are.
It's been a great ride to be a part of this franchise. When I came on to do Tokyo Drift, I literally had just done basically a credit card movie right before it. And to be able to be handed over the reins to the franchise and to try to do something to evolve it, I feel lucky to have Universal as a partner. But at the same time, to be able to make 4 movies, I give a lot of credit to the audience, to the fans, because sequels don't just happen, they are earned. As I'm kind of ending this chapter, I feel great because I feel like the franchise is in the best position it's ever been. And I remember calling Jason Statham and asking him to come in and do the tag. And I feel good about that because, not only is it in the best shape, I feel like I'm handing it off, and I'm kind of excited to see how the next chapter is going to be told.
Dominic Toretto. You don't know me. You're about to.
As soon as you was questioning if we can outdo and top Fast 5, I welcome y'all to the set, Fast 6. Fix your face.
So when I did Fast 5, I thought that would probably be one of the biggest films that I would do in my career.
To make it all connect and to be here now at the 6th one, it's a trip. It's a whole different level.
With each success, you're left with this feeling, can we take this any bigger?
Damn. Fast 5 got a lot of people excited, but this is even bigger.
More wow, more fast, the more furious.
Damn.
The cynical view is that, oh, you guys are successful, made a lot of money, so of course you're gonna make another one. And I wanted to make sure that we didn't come back for that reason. Because I wanted to make sure that we're gonna go on the journey, that it was gonna push it and take it to the next level.
We have been promising going to Europe for quite some time.
This is London, baby.
There was actually a debate on whether we would go to Europe in 5 instead of Rio. But because we were planning for the trilogy, we knew that we could go to Europe in the 6th one. And that's exactly what we did.
Welcome to London.
Yeah, I love it. It's beautiful, man. I was gonna bring my bathing suit.
Yes.
We've always had difficulties because of the ambition of the films. And London, it's one of the biggest cities in the world, and it's not known to really facilitate big action sequences, closing down streets.
So it's really the scale of not only the action, but shooting through the Olympics, shooting through the Queen Jubilee. There was plenty of times we were very, very nervous along the way, like, how are we gonna actually accomplish this?
We had to have 2 of our heroes racing through the streets. There's obviously hundreds and hundreds of people that we couldn't get rid of. And all we could do was back them away from the sidewalk 5 feet, because we had these cars at high speeds racing. There was no room for error. And it wasn't easy.
We had to really go in there, respect where we were at, and I'd convince them why it was valuable for us to be able to go into these locations and really get to explore it practically.
But you get into the higher-ups in the city saying, we need these for this reason, and they go, you're gonna do what in our town with a tank? And then it usually comes back, no, you're not using this location.
I actually had designed the tank sequence to be going through London. I mean, we were gonna build this city block of London in a back lot. But when we went on the scout in Tenerife and Gran Canaria, they took us to some of the highways, and I remember thinking, wait, these highways aren't operational at all? So I thought, oh, this is better than London because it's not artificial. Everything we do is going to be practical. And to have a government that was that open to say, hey, yeah, come over, and we have these brand new highways you can wreck. It made all the difference.
Yeah, what's involved in driving this tank then, mate? A lot of hard work.
I think what's going to separate Fast 6 from Fast 5 is really upping the ante when it comes to the action.
Fast 6, Justin wanted to go big on everything, every level. When people wanted to try to back it down, Justin would just push it forward.
I just felt like on this one, we go big or we go home.
Looking back, Fast 5 serves as a great launching pad for the action sequences that come in Fast 6. I think Justin did an outstanding job of building off of that platform that he laid there.
The one thing that I've learned about the crew that I work with is that nothing is impossible.
I find Justin incredible in the fact that he has to design things in his head that we don't even think about.
And we can have the car come in.
Yeah. But he's also able to think in minute detail about the narrative and the characters. That's what separates him from other action directors. He cares about the story as much as he cares about the action.
The last one was great, flowed out, but I'm just saying let's take a little bit more time.
Got it.
In this one, Justin really was like, you know what? I want to give everyone an opportunity to do some cool stuff.
In Fast 4 and Fast 5, I didn't get to do much action, and I always told Justin, listen, I want to be a badass. I want to do it all. And when we had the conversation before this one, he was like, okay, Gal, you're going to have a lot of action in this one, so get ready.
Justin has always been incredibly good with what made character special.
Yeah!
So there's a tremendous amount of goodwill for these characters.
Yeah!
We're all just so blessed to be a part of this because it keeps getting more and more fun.
We already have that rapport, off camera. So it was nice to explore that and be able to share our relationship in front of the camera.
Live on set.
I think that's why people relate to these guys, because everyone feels that. I love action, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, what is it that you're rooting for? We want you to root for Dom and Brian.
There's so much equity in the Dom-Brian relationship that it always gives me a little comfort coming into the film.
It was just a couple of weeks ago, Vin stubbed his toe, and I felt so bad for him. He was limping everywhere. He stubbed his pinky toe. I mean, man. It hurts. We've really gotten into a rhythm, Vin and I, as much as I think it's still a challenge to understand one another. It's because we come from two completely different worlds, and I think that's a big part of the reason why it's worked.
Ride or die.
Ride or die.
I'd have to give a lot of that credit to Vin as a producer. He's just done an incredible job of keeping up with the fans and keeping the heart. You can always have things blow up, but ultimately, you can't keep that going forever without heart.
Can't turn your back on family, even when they do.
The overriding theme for this franchise has always been about family.
When it really comes down to it, it is the people around you, and it is the place that you call home. And that's really where we're trying to get with these three films, and it all comes together in this one.
There's times where it's really not a scene anymore. Vin coming up and, you know, playing Uncle Dom. What's up, Uncle Dom? We do that in our real life.
Yeah, he's also a Toretto.
So it's funny, just as it's grown, we've grown with it.
So to be in the Toretto house at the end, that's something that was very fulfilling our final day.
Action.
All right, y'all, let's eat.
Does any of this feel familiar?
No. But it feels like home.
I remember seeing the first Fast and Furious. I was just in film school. And that house, what that meant to those characters.
Come on. First bite. He's got grace.
And now, 12 years later, to be able to earn our way back there, that really is the anchor for these characters. We can go around the world and do all these crazy stunts and scope and everything, but ultimately, it's to service the journey home.
It's official. You're all free.
I feel like Fast and Furious has been such a big part of my career, my life, to be able to find an organic way to close out this chapter. It was very emotional for me on many levels. I was standing, you know, by the barn, I remember, and in the midst of all the crew and the cast, you know, I was just by myself in that moment, just kind of taking it in, and how my first time there was actually from the other side of the screen, and now standing there and saying, okay, this is it, and you know, I've done everything that I've wanted to do, and to be able to walk away, having it be my decision, that to me felt complete. It felt right.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a picture wrap on Jordana and Tyrese and Sung and Chris and Michelle, and last but not least, Vin Diesel.
You'll be the next one, right?
These characters, they're very far from where we first met them.
My life started at the Toretto home. It was a very heavy day to be there, but it was a beautiful, beautiful way to end the trilogy.
Oh, Pataky. Oh, you got me, man. You got, we got 7 and 8 in the book.
Paul, you have to work tomorrow.
You guys, Fast 6. This has been a real one, guys. Fast 6, no one thought it was possible.
I couldn't ask for a better way to end my watch of the franchise.
Till next time.
Till next time.
The crew we're after, they hit like thunder and disappear like smoke. You going alone, you won't ever touch them. I need your help, Dom. I need your team.
All right, Hobbs. You got the best crew in the world right here in front of you.
There's something that happens when we make our way to the set the first day. it always feels like we were just here a week ago.
Crazy son of a bitch! You know this. What up, man?
There's a great camaraderie that exists in front and behind the camera that makes these films what they are.
Lens finders.
So this is Fast and Furious.
I'm out to rehearse. All right, here we go. Fly, please. Let's roll. Camera.
She's a mom now. She knows she needs to protect her baby, but she knows what's running through those boys' veins. And you can't keep them at home for too long. And if it's something as important as bringing a family member back, I think it's essential.
Even though seemingly everything's cool and they're living a good life there in Tenerife, he's always walking around with a dark cloud. You know, they first hear what's going on. Brian doesn't want to see it or realize it because he doesn't want to disrupt what he has, because for once he feels like he has stability and he has a home.
Brian, remember the second you go through those doors, everything changes.
And to go and disturb that is just, don't mess with my life.
Action!
Now that we have a lot of family members back, I wanted to play with the idea of trust.
It wasn't that hard to find you, Toretto.
And so when we first see Hobbs on Dom's patio, he has a mission that he feels nobody else in the world can do.
But you get the sense in the beginning of the movie that something's not right.
You must miss home.
And I don't know if it's Dom's connection to Letty that makes him feel a little uneasy at the top of the movie.
The fact that Hobbs has to go to Dom is not only the last resort, but it's the best resort. And what got me excited to bring Hobbs back this time was the element of Dom and Hobbs actually working together.
This should be interesting. At the end of Fast 5, Hobbs says to Dom on that bridge,
Toretto, I'll see you soon.
So when he shows up at the beginning of Fast 6, the audience have to be prepared for anything. I like to think of that relationship as brothers who have had to fight one another to prove the worthiness of their brotherhood.
Hobbs doesn't want to enforce the law. He wants to exercise justice.
We're going to witness his arm explode live on set.
In Fast 6, I'm a part of the Mile High Fun Club.
Cheers!
But when that call came in, even in the middle of my partying,
1 second, ladies.
you know, it doesn't matter what I'm doing, I'm gonna show up and contribute in a way that only I can.
Why do I smell baby oil?
You keep running a pie hole, you're gonna smell an ass kicking.
From back in Too Fast, Too Furious, I've established that I have a problem with authority. And I'm almost the voice of the people, you know, because Dom has this voice that's so deep. It's almost like you can get caught up in what he's saying, like the strings just start playing. And then I come in like, look, man, you can have a deep voice all you want. I'm not having it.
So now we work for the Hawk?
Things changed.
We're getting paid, right?
We first end up with Tej in Costa Rica. He's around the Spanish women. He's still buying exotic and very expensive cars.
God damn. That's serious business right there, man.
And he's on the beach, he's having fun. Hello? But Tej understands that if Dom calls, he's always gonna make sure that he does what he needs to do.
Thank God. Finally some equipment I can work with.
Of course, he's still the tech guy, but you know, I started to get a little bit of action. Which is something I've been begging for quite some time.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
I've been working out hard the entire time we've been on set. You know, I would go to Vin's trailer to work out in his gym.
You looking good, man.
Thanks for your gym, my brother.
Better make sure you get her a big rock, man, because she don't look like she'll be that easily impressed. And if it's not a big rock, it better be big somewhere else. You know what I'm talking about?
That's why all your girlfriends wear so much bling, huh? Han is the guy that everybody wants to have a beer with. But when the older brother calls for help, Dom, we're on the first plane or the train to go join the family.
Let's go. Gisele trusts Dom to make the call, and now is when he really needs them. So she'll do anything for him. In this one, she fights guys, she plays with a weapon. She's flying off of motorcycle, airplane. It's like Superwoman.
So this is worth billions, huh?
Name your price, Dom.
This team, we are not driven by money. We live by a certain code, and you know, the money gives you access to certain things, but money never buys happiness. It never buys family. And that's why this theme of family continues through the franchise.
The great thing is that, you know, our cast genuinely likes one another.
We all get along. We have so much fun. We laugh each and every day with each other.
I was talking to Vin today and I said, no, it's been like 10 years. And he's like, 14. I mean, it's been practically 14 years, which is so crazy. And it keeps getting more and more fun. It's like a traveling circus.
We've all been doing it for so long. When you run the course of 13 years, you grow with all of that. Everyone's got a little more pop, a little more strut to their step, and it's cool seeing that.
We love each other and get along, and I'm very proud of that energy that has been created in this franchise.
And the fact that everyone continues to come back, it's so damn cool.
This behind the scenes shit is the movie right here. These are the moments.
This was taken a week ago.
It's impossible.
I found out that there was a tag ending, post-credits of Fast and Furious 5, with me in it.
You need to look at that.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting that my best friend Vin wouldn't call me and tell me.
You believe in ghosts?
Would have been nice for somebody to call, you know what I mean?
We never really confirmed that she was dead because we never showed you a body.
Taken a week ago.
Dom had to re-evaluate what's truth and what's not truth.
This is exactly what cops do. He's messing with your head.
Your past is not necessarily your past.
Definitely saw it was you.
She looked at me, bro.
It's always an extremely hard decision to bring somebody back from the dead, and we thought really, really long and hard about, would the audience go with it? Could we come up with a good enough story as to what really happened to her? Michelle really loves that character. She was very sad that, you know, Letty was killed off.
It was a loss for me, because I love independent women. And she doesn't rely on any man. That's what I always loved about Letty.
Figure it out. We always do.
Even while we were doing Fast 4, there were people that knew Letty was not going to be gone forever.
Instead of shooting her in the head, I shot the car, and my assumption is that she's dead, but she made it out alive, so this is how Letty lives to see another day. She's got 9 lives, Letty.
So you've met Mr. T?
I'll knock you over. We'll kill you. And bring you back to life again. 2 movies later.
I know that this is something that Vin and a lot of his fans have been campaigning for over 4 years.
I'm here for you.
So I felt loved.
You want an adrenaline rush? It'll be too large. Right here, right now. What's it gonna be?
I kind of busted my butt to make the original Letty character have integrity, you know? And you fight for little things like not being your typical Latina girl or being true to the street credibility of something. And it actually pays off with fan nods, you know? You gonna give the rest of us the same speech when we go out? Can I take that one more time?
Michelle takes a lot of pride in being Letty. I had many nights talking to Michelle about how we could bring this to screen.
Okay. This is the guy I shot.
You look happy.
I don't remember him.
That's bullshit.
The device of the amnesia was always there to try to challenge Letty and in a way challenge Michelle to really not give in.
You want me to cover it up from the top?
I think
Because
so.
I did give it a lot on the shock.
Because if you saw that, then you would know, and you become vulnerable.
Okay. Right. Okay. At first, you know, through the script work, it was tough because a lot of times you would lose the integrity of a character with the memories. That girl you remember, it's not me. So I kind of have to remind people, you can lose memory, but there's something innate in a person. He's gone.
Thanks.
That's it? There has to be a level of integrity that's very Letty. What the hell is wrong with you? This isn't part of the plan. She understands what her level is. Like, I will not go that far to survive. Shaw, you don't have to do this. That pretty much set the tone for Letty throughout the film. I may not remember anything, but I know one thing about myself. Nobody makes me do anything I don't want to. Yeah, that was sold, huh? I gotta say, I love Letty. Bitch. I'm glad she's back, you know? Wrong team, bitch.
Our target's Owen Shaw, former Spec Ops soldier.
I can reach out and break you whenever I want.
I think what's going to separate Fast 6 is the introduction of a couple of badass new characters.
It's been fun running with you, mate. If Ivor is dead, he made a mistake. You make a mistake, you pay the price.
For me, one of the big reasons to come back and do Fast 6 was to truly have an antagonist that's worthy of Dominic Toretto.
These guys are common criminals.
Tonight, these common criminals were seconds away from taking us down.
I think we tend to really gravitate towards Dom and his philosophy. You have family and loyalty. So I wanted to create an antagonist that had the exact opposite philosophy.
Team is nothing but pieces you switch out until you get the job done. There's never been an archetypal villain in this franchise, and that's really exciting. So it was a no-brainer for me. I think I'd rather come off than something you do.
Oh, okay.
So I can react to it.
Luke does a lot of prep. He takes a lot of time to really kind of talk about why these characters exist, and it helps because he's able to instill that in every movement, every beat of his character. I think the simpler the better, because you guys are so, like, well-versed.
On a daily basis, Justin and I speak about Shaw and what's going on in the back of his mind, which Justin is very, very good at reminding you as your character why you would do what you're doing and why you're there. Get into their lives, into their minds, find their weaknesses, and we will exploit them.
For Shaw, it's really about taking the emotion out of the job, and the fact that, you know, I think in his mind that's the ultimate move, because it makes him a sharper kind of chess player.
This has got Shaw's name written all over it. We've got vantage points, multiple exits, subways, highways, and storm drains.
Woman, you keep that up, I'm gonna be out of a job.
Hobbs has a new partner, Riley, and the actress Gina Carano is everything that Riley is. She's beautiful, and she was a trailblazer for women's MMA. She's a badass.
It's pretty exciting to be a part of Fast 6. I think I've gotten really lucky. You know, it's only my second film. And Justin has been really great and works with me wonderfully.
You see how you see Letty?
Yeah.
Run through right there?
You're gonna go out.
I think Gina Carano does such a great job, not only in her strong suit, which is the combat, but the way that she delivers her performance is so cold that it plays to her character in such a brilliant way.
What the hell happened?
We met Dom's girlfriend. She's lovely. I think that Riley's personality is stoic and very quiet and strong. You know, there's power in being quiet and being in the background.
Those individuals are the ones that you really have to watch out for. So the fact that Gina Carano, who is very shy, by the way, quiet, sweet, but when she says, you know, I could probably unhinge your jaw with one punch. You gotta be careful.
Please don't with me right now. I will kill you. It's not easy. Riley's character changed a couple times during pre-production, so Justin called me and he said, look, I think it would be better if Riley ends up being the mole.
Coming, babe?
Of course. At first I was like, oh man. But at the same time, as far as characters, I think it's much more fascinating to be the betrayer.
Gina, how many more times do we need to do this scene where you're kissing a guy straight in his goddamn mouth? I need to know this. We need some baby wipes on set right now. We need cleanser.
I look back through filming this and I'm just happy I was able to be a part of the family. Everybody was absolutely wonderful and very accepting, very warm. I loved every second of it. There he is.
On it.
The first real true action sequence in this one is the team versus team. That was all designed as an intro for Shaw and his team and the way they do business.
Consider it in advance.
For what?
Next job, of course. Sure. He's always one step ahead of them in the film.
Police scanner saying alarms are going off at Interpol headquarters.
And I think it frustrates the whole team as to why he always gets away.
I think the idea is also you want to start selling the implosion. You want to go getting sucked in. Gotcha. And then you go to the wide. Yeah. It's about telling the story of Shaw. This is a big intro of this catastrophe happening right behind him.
Shaw breaks free, and he just comes head on the police. Dom, Brian, and the rest of the guys are all chasing him. On a movie like Fast 6, we want to make it a little grander, a little bigger. So Justin comes up with these ideas.
And I was going to do a dolly shot here, you know, so you can see all the pop, 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 pop.
We talk about them, and we come up with these pretty incredible sequences.
It's really difficult to get a city to give you any length of street where you're going to say to them, yes, we're going to be flipping cars and driving at high speed every night for the next 3 weeks. Most cities are going to say, no.
We tried so many roads all over London because the Olympics were in town. They weren't going to shut down roads. They didn't want cars being flipped over like that onto their roads. And then Glasgow finally said, okay, you can do it.
We got lucky with Glasgow. They let us do some pretty crazy stunts.
This is one of the bigger gags for the sequence we're doing tonight. It's where you first introduce Shaw. The two cars go head on and he flips the cop car.
This is the big super cannon that's firing the police car, and it hits at about 45 feet and starts rolling.
It's not just another car rolling like you usually see. The reason I like this special effects shotgun thing we're using is that it actually shoots the car out accurately in one straight line, and it gets it to roll many times so the cars have time to either veer around it or hit it. And because we're able to control this roll, we're able to put cameras in a better position to tell the story. The door's like right here, so it's right in your face when the car comes through.
Spiro likes to cover it from as many angles as possible. So sometimes they would have 12 cameras covering a stunt.
I just seem to remember where all the cameras are.
We also had the Omnicopter, and the guys had go over the top of buildings and swoop down into the cars, and some really cool shots.
The primary challenge is, in a visual effects sense, is that it's Glasgow, it's not London. So strategically taking those buildings and replacing them with computer-generated versions of buildings from London. Justin, he's always happy to use visual effects, but if it's a car stunt, we'll do it full scale with a real car.
Everything in that sequence pretty much was practical. The vehicles, what they did was practical. We're always doing real stuff.
Sometimes you have to do it for real. It looks a million times better. I've seen it with guys every once in a while, and they're a little squeamish about this or doing that. I'm like, bro, sorry, you got the wrong job, man. We're making an action movie here. Maybe you should think twice before you sign on to doing one of these. You know, it's like...
I flew all the way across the country, and he tells me he's gonna get a close-up of my knuckles, and then I got 5 days off. Justin Lin, ladies and gentlemen.
But have you seen his knuckles? Have you seen his knuckles? Got his own little holes to showcase the knuckles.
Yes, so there's no other black guy in London that can give you the complexion of these knuckles. They auditioned several knuckles. It didn't work out.
To really have the challenges of the actors wanting to do it.
Nailed it.
That, to me, is a good sign that we're always pushing the boundary.
Yeah, it feels better.
The Rock actually jumps out of a moving car and lands on top of the flip car. That was a pretty tricky thing to get this Rock, who's actually probably bigger than the flip car himself.
We've got drivers that are absolutely phenomenal drivers.
Really, just go. Let's go.
This will be Han, Gisele, supermodel. Yeah.
You have to trust the guy that's beside you, in front of you, and behind you. So by working together cohesively as a group, everybody really bonds like a family.
Andy Gillett said, let's do something different instead of flipping a car down the street. So I talked about maybe going to a building, and I went to Justin, told Justin, and so he liked the idea, but then of course it was a big budget thing because it was never in the script, and he fought for it, and it barely made it in.
Let's go in there with him.
Yeah, I'll be right here.
As he looks.
The thing I've learned about doing Fast and Furious franchise, never limit yourself. You shoot for the moon, literally, and only good stuff will come out of it.
We did the first take, which he didn't get in, but we got a good lead up to it. When you can in a car, you can't really be perfect on it, precise. You get the best drivers, you get the great effects guys, and they put you in a situation to be close, but there's a lot of variables. And then the second take, he went through, and it got ended up being perfect.
Okay, let's do it. 3, 2, 1, action.
We're in the corner.
Oh, that was amazing. Look at that.
Yeah. Driving the cars, it's just a ball. The grin on all the guys' faces every shot, they're just grinning, having a good time. And they should be. That's what it's all about. It's all about having fun.
When you can work with people who love doing their jobs, only great things can happen from that.
Going into Fast 6, they had this idea of, whoa, what if we put these guys up against a tank?
In the tank sequence, we had a lot of challenges.
Anything that gets in its way, we're running it over. Bridges getting shot up.
We're gonna do it practical. When you do it for real, is when it looks the best.
All right, guys, listen up.
We have a center divider that's 100 feet long. It took about 2.5 seconds from when it hit the wall on this side till it exit on this side. You're going to be crossing over to see the tank go through. Boom, boom, boom.
For the tank sequence, it really ultimately is about how Dom and his team, how they improvise.
Somebody better do something! I got a tank on my ass!
Justin really pushed the fact to be interesting because of the characters. So each car is kind of involved in each one of those beats.
I love the Escort that Brian drives. You have Han and Gisele on the motorcycle.
Let's go.
And of course, for Shaw.
Shaw, you don't have to do this.
Hey, tank.
We had 2 real tanks. One of them had the full turret, which is 60 tons. Then the other one didn't have a turret on it. So we made a turret that was 20 tons lighter. So that was called the lightweight tank. And then we had 2 that we built on truck chassis.
Just with a little bit of revving, so you know I'm gonna have to start shouting now.
But we ended up using the real tank 90% of the time. There's no substitute for it. Just the feel of it rolling down the street.
Roman sequence, that was a hairy stunt for the guy jumping across. 6 feet behind him, there's a tank that's gonna suck that car under.
We had an overhead wire rig on our stunt double.
Once you land, try to look, that way so we don't see your face,
But we had to give him enough room that he could jump to Brian's car. So we get it all up to speed, 3, 2, 1, now. He jumped it, sucked under that car in a heartbeat. There's nothing left, nothing left.
Yeah. And then the tank gets smart and actually shoots down an overpass, which blocks everybody.
We had lightweight materials, Oasis cork, lightweight plaster. We built it up in sections, and we had to surround our explosives with water to give it a bigger blast.
I have the effects guy just holding a piece of fake concrete. And when the cars get to a certain point, I call the cue to drop it.
It came down in a big lump, and I couldn't see. And I ended up doing a little jump through there and through flames, so we were just driving blind.
Just like all the rest of the stunts we do. Close our eyes when we do them anyway.
Screw it. Jump that Brian did to save Roman, we had our own challenges and limits because the road was only so wide and he had to land at a certain angle or he'd crash in the side of the dividers.
I'm a little nervous to be further out when it gets to that wall on the other side.
I talked to Justin about it, and he was adamant about, I don't want this to look like a normal car jump. I want it to be messy. It's not a normal looking jump. He is up there. Hit nice and skipped, and just went over his roof the first time. Overjumped it a little bit. Got in another car, did it again, absolutely beautiful. It kind of come up, scooped out and hit, and away it went.
Nailed it there, yeah?
Yeah, it was a good one. Spiro asked me to come up with something that we could make a dolly track extremely quickly. Basically, it's powered by a 50-pound piece of bungee.
It's a really cool shot.
Flipping the tank was challenging. We originally were told we're not going to flip it. And just days before it was time to do it, one of the tests worked really well.
I sat down with our department and we came up with some methods of putting a concrete lower substructure in so you still get the bounce up and over, but not so much dirt that it's just going to slow the tank down. Lightweight tank, they towed it in at speed, hit the railing and blew the rear end up and over the front end and pancaked upside down.
Once you're on here, I just needed something to hold on to.
Just like, really?
This thing is slippery.
A freaking tank, dude? Flipping over? Stop it.
I was holding my breath a lot. It's real people flying, real cars crashing. Everything we did for real.
Number of cars we destroyed, 200, 300. But that's Fast 6. That's what it is. It's all about the cars. It's all about the heroes saving the day. Here we are in Bentwater Air Force Base. We're about 2.5 hours outside of London filming a sequence for Fast and Furious 6. It's called our Antonov sequence. And it's getting dark and we'll be filming all night for the next 3 weeks.
The great thing about Fast 6 is that the scope has gotten bigger. That's how crazy we are.
Ride or die.
Ride or die.
The Antonov sequence, I'd never done anything close to that scale. It was the ultimate challenge. Basically designed 7 action sequences that's happening all at once.
The finale of this movie is something that we had talked about having in the 2 previous films, but we didn't know how to actually make it happen. So when we started to talk about 6, we pulled out the previs and we started working with that to see how we could actually make it fit into this film.
We're supposed to be on a runway with this Antonov, which is a massive airplane with a wingspan bigger than a football field.
And a lot of obstacles with cars being lifted off the ground and people fighting on them. And Justin's very, very picky on things looking real.
I need to start looking over, or else I don't buy it. You know? I felt it was important to have something practical to always play with. So we basically built our own Antonov. We had the wheels built with the fuselage. We built some wings. We built the engine.
And we built a system whereby we could tow it down the runway at up to about 30, 35 miles an hour, using a big 6-wheel, 500 horsepower turbocharged truck. It's massive, big.
And then I think we had like 6 cars working at the same time to shoot that sequence.
You can watch Andy with all the drivers and they're mapping out every shot first on the ground and rehearsing them.
Ben, you're just going to come in, you're going to make your turn. You guys got to go off the edge of his camera.
I was doubling Han, so we had to do quite a bit with the vehicle. We do like a very low-speed rehearsal, but then when you do it on the day, everything's different because the cars are approaching at different speeds.
And then we had to do this at night, so every run had to have semis with lights going.
We could light the runway, but you couldn't light from the airplane because we didn't have an airplane. So they built these lighting rigs on trucks that would move with us for the sequence as the lighting grid. And so the runway became very busy with this massive Antonov going down the center of the runway with lighting trucks following you at speed, 6 stunt cars slamming into each other. Pull away, you start to get away, Steve. He comes right back in and slams in, you guys hold.
We've got to be aware of not going under the wheels of the plane. The other drivers, we have to make sure that they're not too far ahead of a wheel, because if you pitch them the wrong way, they get run over. You have to be very aware of everything that's going on around you.
One of the gags that Justin wanted was that one of the cars gets knocked into the jet wash of the plane. So that was a tough one.
You're trying to lift a 2.5-ton vehicle at speed. You have to have some big equipment to do that. Our wire team put it together. Tested it a couple of times, came up with this system here, and now it's D-Day. And away it goes. These release, go over here.
And it's not just the designing for cars, but there's, stunts. And for all these actors to go all out, that's a challenge in itself.
I had a harness on. They put cables all around me, everywhere, and I was hanging off on the car. It was very cool, very different from what I expected.
And then we had these motion bases where we could take a vehicle and put our actors in it, and then either through hand controls or through pre-programmed digital computer controls, we could move the car and shake it and put them at crazy angles and give it the right sort of dynamics so that our actors in the car were reacting to real-world physics.
When we did the plane crashing, that was pretty tricky. We had to get 12 cameras set up, and they all had to be at the right spot, and it was a huge deal.
Justin wanted to know what it would take to build a rig that we could drag down a runway as fast as possible on fire at full scale. And in an incredibly short period of time, they built this amazing steel rig that was then rigged with all kinds of propane jets and kerosene pots to create these incredible explosions.
That fire you see and the explosions you see are practical. Our main hero, when he jumped out of the nose, that was real. His car flipping was real. The vehicles, when they lifted off the ground, they were practical. And the ADs and the stunt people, everybody did a great job.
The bar was set high. And it's really a team effort that makes these films what they are.
Everybody has to come together to be able to have that trust, to have that shorthand. It makes me want to keep pushing and try to find other challenges for us.
It's important for us as a saga whose roots lie in illegal streetcar racing to keep that essence alive.
That's why I got into this business. I thought it would be so cool to do these things that, you know, if you did it in real life, it'd be against the law.
But the purpose of that Piccadilly race really leads up to kind of the heart of the movie. And for the scene between Dom and Letty to work, he had to earn that time with her. So that race was everything.
Is that how they do it in London? We do like to imagine and create the tuner bills. But my favorite part about that tuner bill is where it leads. Let's do it.
Your funeral.
Dom and Letty racing around Piccadilly Circus.
We're in Piccadilly this evening and we're shooting Dom and Letty's race.
So you want to make sure you get me out here before the car, so I meet him here. We planned it for several days ahead of time. We were there weeks before, even months before. So everybody knew where they were going to be, when they were going to be there. One more rehearsal. One more rehearsal, ready? There was no room for error. Not only because they couldn't destroy any of the area, which is one of the most sacred areas in London, but also because you had hundreds of real people that were not stunt people.
I was always trying to find the right time to bring out the Daytona. And so, you know, when Fast 6 came, I felt like, oh my God, the ultimate symbol of American muscle cars is Daytona running through the streets of London. This has to be it.
I thought it was going to be hard to get this to perform the way we wanted to just because it's such a long car. 70s technology, completely opposite. Really performed well. Ben Collins drifted it around corners super fast, and Mark Higgins drove a Jensen Interceptor.
With all the vehicles in this franchise, it's very important for me that it's an extension of the character. And especially Letty, who cannot remember anything, what car would she build? It has to be the Jensen.
Now she's in the UK, she's lost her memories, so that's the car that she would be drawn to. If she was looking around for cars and she heard the sound of a big black Dodge, whether she knew why she was driving it or not, it would be what she was attracted to.
It was a difficult shoot in the fact that if we could do one run, then it'd be about a 20 or 30-minute break to get all the traffic through.
When they said the road is closed, you had enough time to get the cars to take off and get from A to B, and that was all you had. It was one of our toughest days of the whole shoot, but one of the most satisfying.
Just like old times.
When the rear of that car gets to them two markers there, bang.
Yeah.
There you
Okay.
go. But you'll be past that and out
Okay,
there.
good.
When you get to the blue bridge, you stop. Just ease up, stop there, okay?
Yeah. The action increases on each one of these movies. On this one, they turned it up so much. It's just crazy because, you know, to keep that authenticity right, to have the characters go through these explosions and drive through these explosions, it's kind of crazy. And yet, we wouldn't have it any other way.
Shot's gonna shoot, and it's gonna. All these cars in front of you explode.
All right, guys, everybody clear back. Clear back, please. Everybody back.
Increíble, increíble. Está trabajando, está trabajando.
Uniform.
Pero tú sabes esto.
Michelle Rodriguez once said, they're not fans, but a foundation. And that's true. It's a foundation that we work for, that we are inspired by. You know what the slogan for Fast 7 is? If you didn't see Fast 4, 5, and 6, you're not invited.
All right, here we go. Pictures up.
You just have to hope that every crew member is alert and aware of what we're doing. You don't hit that turn right, it's not like you can press restart and start all over. And it's not a video game.
Looks pretty good, Steven.
That car will pick up. The explosions won't go until the rear of the car is at the explosion.
Okay.
So you'll pass them.
Okay.
Windows past them behind you.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Roll. Here we go. Ready and action.
Just add in some more smoke because I don't think there was enough smoke.
All good, Greg, all good.
Awesome, all right, mate. Awesome, fantastic.
Nice
All right,
job.
that was really good.
We made it. We
Well
made
done.
it. We did it. We did it. We're alive. We are alive. And you know what that means if we're alive? Fast 7. Fast 8. Let's go for it, guys.
All right. Hi, I'm Dennis McCarthy, picture car coordinator for Fast 6. And I can assure you in this one, you will not be disappointed.
One of the nice things about working on the Fast movies is working with Dennis McCarthy.
Dennis and those guys just kick ass. These are guys that actually live this stuff.
Our cars are our babies in this. Our franchise holds them up on a pedestal.
In the Fast and Furious film, we start with our shop, a bunch of tools, a lot of mechanics, a bunch of equipment, and a ton of steel. And we try to make the cars as durable, as exciting, and as fast as possible.
Brian, he's driving the Skyline again in the beginning. He'll always be a Skyline guy.
It's kind of like when I drive it home.
I like him too, so it works.
The driving's extraordinary. There's not a lot of room for error.
but beyond having great action, there's such a mythology going between the characters, between the cars.
You got some serious balls, man.
I've been told.
Letty Jensen was a great find. I remember talking to Dennis and saying, is there something that's kind of European, but at its core, it's American?
Ready?
She's lost her memory, so it just came to me right away that that's the car that she would be drawn to.
What else do you know about me?
It has the Dodge engine, but it was built in the UK for Europe.
V8 never could resist American muscle.
Nothing left of the Jensen powertrain. Electrical was basically in a bare shell, assembled from that point. And it was just a perfect fit. One of the main acts of the movie is our guys are getting cars from a classic car auction. So it opened up that opportunity once again for exotic, European cars.
We like the super cool looking cars, but when we're in the field, we also need cars that we can work with.
In the tank chase, Tyrese has to get in front of the moving tank in this Mustang.
Oh, shit!
Super fast, it stands out. It is a really fun car.
It's a pretty wild Mustang.
Yes! Giddy up, boy!
We never did use the actual $700,000 hero car for those stunts. We kept that car safe. It's one of those cars that's just tweaked in all the right places. Car's wider, just a stance of it. I mean, I'd say in the world, the Mustang's just got to be in the top 3.
In the Antonov sequence, we had the Dodge Charger. There's times we had to have wet down. We had explosions.
And then we pick the rear ends up, tie them together.
Yeah, that's a great shot.
And we tore this thing up. But you couldn't hurt it. The Charger just keeps on rolling.
There's not a lot you can change on that car exterior-wise to make it look any better. The only thing we do is we lowered it, slightly bigger tire size, and I try to give it a military Secret Service look. The matte gray paint, blacked out the windows. They came out looking great. The Dodge Daytona is a car that I've been trying to get into these movies for a while. It's just one of those cars that's just so over the top.
Okay, and stop.
It's a 1970 Dodge Daytona, which was a basic car that Chrysler built for NASCAR. 1969, it came out mid-season. 1970, it was a championship winner. After that, they outlawed the car. That's too fast.
There's something very similar to Dom and his past. We all know that he never made it to the pro racing, and they banned me from the tracks for life. And in a sick way, in the same way that Dom was banned from the racetrack, so was this Daytona.
It's a car that we basically built from scratch. We start with a junk car, we strip it down to the bare shell. We've taken about 10 inches out of the length. The whole car has been lowered. The rear wing and the back's come down about a foot, just so it looks more proportional. We had a completely custom exhaust system made by MagnaFlow. The exhaust actually comes up through the back seat, where the back seat would be, and there's 2 mufflers, and there's an X pipe under the car, and then the tips come out the side. That car started, you definitely knew which car was coming to set.
It's a beast. And we like staying true to characters in this franchise, so it worked.
You got a death wish or something?
That's what it takes.
Once again, we had cars with a whole bunch of horsepower that would burn rubber. This has gone far beyond my expectations. I've probably built more Fast and Furious cars than everything else I've ever done combined.
The sanctuary, this is the garage.
The car stuff, it's in my blood. We're all little kids at the end of it, every one of us.
We have these kind of iconic cars, and I feel like They're very well integrated into this franchise. I couldn't ask for anything better. One of the most exciting things for me was the idea of the flip car.
When I saw the flip car for the first time, it just reminded me how this franchise comes up with new ideas of cars. And it blows my mind.
Justin called me early on and said, I want something that's, going to run head-on into vehicles and launch them into the air. Which is, it's a great idea.
It came really from the design of who Shaw is.
Good news is, you swap out a bad part, everything runs smooth as silk again.
He is someone that will go right into the middle of a storm and demolish everything in its way.
We needed something that even our heroes couldn't stop right away. And so when you saw this thing, it was like, what the heck, this thing can't hurt me. And next thing you know, this thing's flipping 5 police cars in a matter of 15 seconds.
When I first heard about the flip car, I always had this thing in my mind, like, what is it really gonna do? How are we really gonna do this? And then Dennis McCarthy went out and built an incredible car.
So this is what we refer to as our ramp car. This car is probably the most labor-intensive car that we have. It's basically built from scratch. Pretty much anywhere you look at this car, it's definitely unique.
What we've done on this one was put rear steering on it. So now it has front steering and rear steering, all controlled by the pilot. And when you turn the rear steer, they can what we call crab sideways. Instead of like a normal car that turns, we can crab.
The 4-wheel steering is unbelievable. The way they did it was just something else. I mean, structurally, that thing is so sound. Dennis and those guys just kick ass.
And it's sort of roughly based on a Formula One car, so it's very low to the ground. It has a very sort of wedge shape, huge tires, 8 exhausts, the noisiest thing I've ever heard in my life. The noise that it makes is like having a T-Rex open his mouth right behind you. That's what it sounds like.
Justin had a very clear vision of his stunts, which required a lot of test time, which was great for us because we spent 4 or 5 racetrack days with all those ramp cars.
I was just doing practice out here, see how fast we can do 180s by using both front and rear. You can get out of control really easy with the rear steering and not being able to get it back to center. So it takes a driver with precise skills to drive it smoothly.
Hi, I'm Mark, and I'm the driver of this car. Quite a beast to drive. I've been asked a few times to compare the vehicle to anything I've driven before, and a great little toy. There is nothing like it. Really, she's quite a beast.
When you have a machine like that and you sit in it and you have to do a scene in it, the job's almost done.
So what? The next job, of course.
And it works. It does everything it said on the tin. I mean, it's extraordinary. I mean, there's no faking going on here.
I remember sitting down with Andy and Spiro, and they're like, it's going to be great, but you actually can't flip the cars. It's too hard. And I said, well, let's just try it. And then, with Spiro, he's always up for a challenge.
So we thought, okay, let's just do it for the lead-ups, and then we'll go and put a pipe ramp and make it look like the car's doing it and fake it. Well, we were surprised because this flip car really flipped the police cars higher than the pipe ramp actually did when we did it static. So the footage in the movie is actually from the flip car going head-on with the other police cars.
And I remember, I think 3 in the morning, getting a call from Spiro, and he's like, it worked, and nobody expected it to work.
And we really had the guy driving the flip car. They really went head-on, and I can only imagine how it must have looked for this guy in his little tiny car heading head-on towards a car that was like 3 times the size.
Thumbs up. I heard it looked good. I had my eyes shut.
When Justin saw the results of what we were able to do, it called me up and goes, I want you to add more police cars, flip more police cars, crash more police cars. That was pretty fun.
That was part of the joy of coming up with an idea and seeing it being executed perfectly, even beyond our expectation. And that's a testament to, you know, the whole team.
I love the flip car. I love the idea of it. I think that's what keeps people on their seats and keeps them in suspense, is always wondering what kind of car they're gonna have next. And we always surprise them.